Now on Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, the city of Edna now coming together to honor the memory of Lisbeth Medina. We have what is being done in her honor. And Prime Minister Netanyahu heads to the White House. The Prime Minister will meet with President Joe Biden. We'll tell you who else the Prime Minister is set to meet with. And the Department of Justice finalized a plea deal with Boeing. We have the details coming up.
And you guessed it, it's another morning with lots of rain in our midst, and we got lots more rain to come our way today, but that's all off a very interesting subtropical low setup today. We're going to take a look at that in the weather coming up.
Victoria Northeast Baseball wins the Southwest Regional Championship in Lockhart, Texas. That's in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and happy Thursday. It's been a busy week for politics and for airports.
That's right, it has been a busy week, and it's also been a busy week for rain. And can you guess what else is coming our way today?
Some wind.
Some wind, but what else? More rain.
Yeah,
can
you
believe
said that already, Parker.
Well, I said that for the rest of this week, but we got lots more still to come our way today and tomorrow and Saturday, maybe a little bit more on Sunday, but most of it's going to cut off next week with the heat returning. And we're going to look at that later on Sunrise, because right now, if you're tuning in with us this morning, the rain hasn't arrived just yet here in Victoria. We're going to look at that radar in just a second as well, because before the rain gets here, it's another warm and average summer morning and humid as well, sitting at 77 right now, but your dew point 1 degree off from that, bringing you 96% humidity. So now I'm not really expecting any fog out there this morning because of the rain is kind of mixing some of the atmosphere right now. And looking at that radar, just look at all of that rain that's coming our way out of the Gulf this morning. In fact, I'm going to play your future radar here as we go throughout later today. What's going on is that we have been talking about this tropical wave that's out in the Atlantic and out in the Gulf. That has been out in the Atlantic and Gulf since late last week. That has officially arrived here today. It's going to make landfall today. But what happened overnight last night, it actually strengthened a little bit in terms of wind speed, and now it is officially ramped up to a subtropical low. That does not mean it's going to be a tropical depression, a tropical storm, a hurricane. None of those. What's going to happen is it's just going to be a tad breezy, wind gusts up to maybe 40 miles an hour, 35 at times, and also lots and lots of heavy rain, which is usually pretty normal with a tropical system. But looking at your future radar, this proves it. Look at all that rain that's coming our way going into the later morning, a little bit going into the mid-afternoon. I think it's going to start dying down to widespreadness in the mid and late afternoon before most of it cuts off as we go into this evening. But looking at your rainfall totals, this is definitely what's normal with a tropical system. It's actually very similar to what we saw with Beryl. Very heavy rainfall totals up to 3 to 5 inches will be possible, maybe even 6 for some locally. That's why we have alert days issued for today all the way through Saturday, because the rain is going to continue a little bit going into this weekend. So please be careful of localized flooding that will be possible. Good news is no severe weather is expected, just a bunch of general thunderstorms. But coming our way into this weekend, the rain continues until the rain cuts off next week and the heat returns. And we're going to take a look at that later on Sunrise. Back to Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. A 23-year-old Port Lavaca man heads to trial Monday on murder charges. Blake Downs is accused in the shooting death of 19-year-old Cohen Berm at Downs' house on Holloman Road in Port Lavaca in April of 2022. The trial starts at 9 a.m. Monday. Authorities say both the victim and the suspect were intoxicated at the time. A 2022 wreck led to a lawsuit and a settlement with the city of Victoria. A city ambulance crashed into a Chevy Traverse, sending the ambulance into a pond on May 5th, 2022. Frank and Betty Roeder were rushed to the hospital, where Frank died from his injuries a few days later. An investigation found the ambulance driver at fault for speeding and for a faulty maneuver. DPS did recommend criminal charges against the driver, but a grand jury declined to press charges. The Roeder family settled their lawsuit with the city for the maximum $500,000 as per state law. The city did not admit fault in the settlement. The death of an Edna High School teenager continues to touch lives even months later. However, the loss is now inspiring the city. Edna High School's class of 1983 established the Lisbeth Medina Memorial Scholarship Fund. Since Medina cheered on the Edna Cowboys, the scholarship will go to students who want to follow in her footsteps and cheer. Cheerleading can cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. It's one of the reasons why the class of '83 decided to start this fund. The Elizabeth Medina Memorial Scholarship Fund is open for anyone to donate. Come to crossroadstoday.com to learn more. Victoria police arrested a 28-year-old Inez man on Tuesday. He's accused of being part of a shooting. Julia Stasny of Inez is charged with aggravated assault on a family member with a weapon. He's accused of shooting 37-year-old Bradley Innocenti inside an apartment in the 8300 block of Northeast Sacklands Parkway. Innocenti was transported to the hospital. He's in a stable condition. Stasny was in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of a $50,000 bond. He has since bonded out. And here are some of the top headlines in the Port Lavaca wave. Texas veterans received over $27 million in benefits, which is helping boost the economy both across the state and in Calhoun County. Plus, the Calhoun Port Authority says they ended on a positive year, bringing in around 4.5 million short tons. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. President Joe Biden delivered a historic address to the nation last night, explaining to the American people why he dropped his re-election bid for a second term. The president speaking from the Oval Office 3 days after first announcing his decision to step aside.
You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now. Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president.
President Biden saying while his time in office has been the honor of a lifetime, the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. We'll go to Washington later for more. The president will welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the Oval Office today, with the Israeli Prime Minister defending the war in Gaza in his speech to Congress as pro-Palestinian demonstrators clash with police just blocks away.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is heading to the White House today for a meeting with President Biden, their first face-to-face meeting since Biden visited Israel after the October 7th attack by Hamas. Vice President Kamala Harris will also meet with Netanyahu separately. It comes as thousands of protesters against the war in Gaza converged on Washington yesterday, condemning Netanyahu's visit, chanting "Free, Free Palestine," marching toward the Capitol before police deployed pepper spray.
Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free!
Demonstrators filled several blocks, carrying signs with messages including "Arrest Netanyahu." But Netanyahu remained defiant, telling lawmakers Israel will settle for nothing less than total victory.
We also help keep American boots. We help keep Americans' boots off the ground while protecting our shared interests in the Middle East. Winston Churchill appealed to Americans with these famous words: "Give us the tools and we'll finish the job."
Netanyahu did not discuss the status of a ceasefire deal that Hamas and Israel had been negotiating for weeks, but he promised the families of hostages that he would not rest until all of their loved ones are home. Netanyahu also delivered this message to critics of the war.
When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots.
Em Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
Tomorrow, the Prime Minister travels to Florida where he'll meet with former President Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And the Department of Justice finalized a plea agreement with Boeing. The aviation company will plead guilty to a felony charge of defrauding the U.S. government and pay a more than $243 million fine. Boeing also admitted to defrauding the Federal Aviation Administration when seeking permission for the 737 MAX plane to carry passengers. The company has to invest at least $455 million into its compliance, quality, and safety programs and meet with the victims' families' legal representation. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. Let's get a look at our clock here. It is 6:40 on our Thursday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. A federal agency is coming to Wharton County this weekend to offer assistance.
I'm ABC's Em Nguyen in Washington. President Biden giving an address to the nation from the Oval Office as his Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump hit the campaign trail, the latest in the race for the White House coming up.
And also coming up after the break, we're going to take another look at your radar, followed by your weather and health forecast. And later on Sunrise, we're going to take another look at how much rain we're still expected to get and why. Well, good morning, Crossroads. If you're tuning in with us this morning, you're looking live at Cuero, and look how cloudy it looks out there before that rain gets here, and that's actually on its way. We're going to look at that radar right after this, because right now it's still plenty warm and humid out there. It's another average summer morning without the rain just yet, but 76 right now in Cuero, and that's matching that dew point, bringing you a 98, pretty much 100% humidity. So you might see maybe a thin layer of dew on your windshield, but otherwise maybe some very low-lying areas might see some fog, but otherwise I don't think there's going to be any fog for today, because today it's going to be another not too bad of a day in terms of temperatures, getting up to about 82. Now, if the rain keeps up for a little bit longer than I'm thinking, we could maybe see 79 maybe for high temperatures today, which would be incredible for end of July. But we still got lots of showers to come our way for the rest of the day, and some folks might even see up to 4 inches of rainfall, possibly locally, that is. So please be careful if you do see that heavy rain and heavy flooding. That might be possible. But looking at the radar, you could see, look at all of that rain that is coming out of our south, and they're all coming off that subtropical low that's going to be making landfall today. But the good news is, with the rain coming all day today, pollen's going to be nice and low. Air quality is moderate just a little bit today, and the UV index, that's also moderate with the clouds and the rain. But we do have alert days issued for a couple more days before the heat returns next week, and we're going to take a look at that in just a few more moments. And that's it for weather. Now we're going to look at sports with Max.
2 days ago, we gave congrats to Northeast Senior Little League Baseball team for winning the Southwest Regional Championship and advancing to the World Series game in South Carolina on Saturday. Northeast Little League won 7-6 over Hondo Little League seniors 2 nights ago in Lockhart after it was moved from Seguin. Some of the main contributors for the squad were Trent Garcia, Jazz Huff, and Andrew Alvarado. Also, shout out to the entire Victoria Northeast coaching staff and Arturo Alvarado, Lucky Gandy, Cedric Huff, and Benny Garcia. The boys' flights were canceled again for the previous day, but they should be flying out today, hopefully, hopefully it will be safe travels for the team, and wish them luck in South Carolina. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
All right, we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus on your Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, or Android TV. Now to President Biden's first address to the nation since withdrawing from the 2024 race. Biden defending his decision, saying he stepped aside to unite the country. And now Vice President Harris is leading the Democratic bid for the White House.
It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president.
President Biden addressing the American people from the Oval Office, surrounded by family and his closest aides.
I revere this office, but I love my country more.
The president's words somber as he explained his historic decision to abandon his re-election bid and pass the torch to a new generation. It came after mounting pressure from fellow Democrats concerned about his mental fitness and age. Biden praising Vice President Kamala Harris for her leadership now and in the future.
She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy?
Former President Trump quick to slam Biden's address, calling it barely understandable. Trump back on the campaign trail Wednesday, attacking Harris.
The most incompetent and far-left vice president in American history.
The Harris campaign calling Trump's speech unhinged and weird, followed by a list of lies Trump told on stage. Overnight, Harris taking to social media to commend Biden's Oval Office remarks, saying we are all deeply grateful for his service to our nation. And earlier telling an African-American sorority conference in Indianapolis.
Joe Biden is a leader with bold vision. I believe we face a choice between 2 different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past.
Former Republican National Committee Chair Reince Priebus criticized President Biden for not addressing in more detail what led to his decision to step aside, including questions about his health. Em Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code on your screen to take part. We ask you, did you watch President Joe Biden's address last night? 43% of you said yes, and 57% of you said no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. A federal emergency management agency disaster recovery center will open this weekend in Wharton County. It'll be at the Wharton Civic Center in meeting rooms A and B at 1924 North Fulton Street. FEMA representatives are visiting with El Campo residents this week. Residents can visit any FEMA disaster recovery center in Texas to file a claim and get assistance after Hurricane Beryl. And here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Cuero Record. The DeWitt County Appraisal Board passes the budget for 2025, and the Cuero ISD School Board sets a transfer agreement with Myersville ISD. Parents are also urged, or rather school officials are also urging parents to check on the dress code. You can read these stories and more at the DeWittCountyToday.com. The time is now 6:47 on our Thursday morning. Still to come, we take a look at the infant mortality rate and the leading causes of infant death. Okay, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to Brooklyn. Happy 8th birthday, baby girl. Mommy and Daddy love you.
Oh, happy birthday, Brooklyn. And how you doing? Friends star Matt LeBlanc with a birthday today. He's turning 57. Happy birthday, Matt. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, come to crossroadstoday.com. Click on More, and under Home, you'll see KVU to submit your birthday.
Okay, the time is now 6:48 on our Thursday morning. Happy birthday if you're celebrating one today.
That's right. Happy birthday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You tried.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. I hope you've been loving all that rain that we've had all this week, as we got a lot more coming our way today and a little bit more as we go into this weekend as well. We're going to look at that in just a second, because look at all the rain that we had yesterday. This is over the last 24 hours, so anything before 6:51 not going to be accounted for in here. So we actually did have a little bit of rain before that. But looking at your totals, we on average, and here at the Crossroads, we saw between ½ inch to 3/4, but some of us saw between 1 or 2 inches, and some of us saw anywhere you see red in here, that's going to be 5 inches. So near Bay City, 5 inches. West Wharton County, 5 inches. Goodness gracious, there were lots of rain in some areas yesterday. But look at all the rain that is out there right now. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see all of that heavy rain. And you're probably wondering, why is the rain so much heavier this morning? Well, what's going on is there's the tropical wave that we've been tracking ever since late last week and all through this week, and it is officially here. It's among us now. And actually what's going on ever since last night, actually overnight last night, it strengthened a little bit, just a tad bit. And now it is a subtropical low. It's got a little bit breezy winds gusting up to about 35 or 40 miles an hour. It's not going to turn into a tropical storm or anything, but you can see the low center right here just now passing Corpus Christi, and it's going to be making landfall here very soon. In fact, I'm going to press play so you can see where it goes as we go into later today and into tomorrow, going all the way into North Texas as we go all the way to tomorrow, Friday. But looking here in the Crossroads, you can see, look at all the rain still to come our way going to later today and later this morning and to today. Winds today, like I said, maybe gusting up to 35 or 40 miles an hour, but the rain is going to be our main threat today, maybe up to 3 to 5, maybe even 6 inches possible. So please be careful in the rain, turn around, don't drown. Back to Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. The CDC says the infant mortality rate in the U.S. rose for the first time in decades. A report showed nearly 21,000 babies died in 2022 before the age of 1, a 3% increase from 2021. Leading causes of infant deaths were birth defects, unintentional injuries, and maternal complications. Since 1995, infant mortality has trended downward in the U.S. Excuse me. Health experts say any increase is cause for concern. The CDC noted most states with abortion bans saw a higher than average infant mortality rate. Overdue credit card bills have reached an all-time high since the Federal Reserve of Philadelphia began tracking the statistic in 2012. A report Wednesday says the proportion of credit card balances that are at least 60 days late hit 2.5% during the first quarter of 2024. Banks are now bracing for some financial issues. During the second quarter, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup and Wells Fargo raised the provisions for credit losses from that previous quarter. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. House lawmakers vote to unanimously form a task force. We learn what that task force will be focused on. House lawmakers unanimously adopted a resolution to establish a bipartisan task force to investigate the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. House leaders will now select 7 Republicans and 6 Democrats to be on the task force. The goal of the probe is to understand what went wrong the day of the rally shooting. Following the investigation, the task force will make recommendations for reform to the relevant government agencies and recommend any necessary legislation to implement the reforms. This week marks 15 years since the federal minimum wage was adjusted. The most recent hike to $7.25 an hour happened on July 24, 2009. It's the longest stretch the national minimum wage has gone without an increase since the pay standard was instituted in 1938. In the meantime, the value of the dollar has diminished and prices on everyday goods have gone up significantly. The Consumer Price Index indicates the spending power of $1 is now 70% of what it was in 2009. The Victoria ISD is inviting community members to take part in public meetings to help select a new superintendent. The meetings are being held at Shield Elementary at 5:30 p.m. and at Iowa Elementary at 7 p.m. on Monday, August 5th. Meetings will also be held at Hopkins Elementary at 5:30 p.m. and at Vickers Elementary at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, August 6th. And a final meeting will be held on Mission Valley Elementary School campus. That's on Monday, August 19th. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And we do have time for a final check of our forecast with Parker. Parker, that Doppler over Port Lavaca, I'm glad there's no pink in it.
That's right, Carolina. We're glad there's no pink in it. We don't want to see any hail, but look at live in Port Lavaca. Look at all the rain that's out there right now. 75 out there, still plenty nice out there in terms of temperature, but not nice in terms of rain. Look at all of this rain that is coming out of the Gulf this morning. In fact, I'm going to turn on the timing of it. It's probably coming into Bloomington probably around 7:30, but maybe a little bit after, maybe about 15 to 20 minutes after that, coming into Victoria. So look at all that rain. There's still plenty more rain to come our way over the next few days even. So we actually have alert days issued all the way through Saturday for the additional 3 to 5 inches, maybe even 6 inches possible. So please be careful on the rain. I've got rain happening all day today, maybe cutting off a little bit in the late afternoon going into the evening. But like I said, alert days still issued, rainy for the next couple days until the heat returns next week.
That's right. We got to soak up all the rain and precipitation while we can.
Before the heat comes back.
Hopefully we have a cool August like we've had a cool July.
Yes, I hope so.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Be sure to tune in tonight for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10.